Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations, and you with Simon today. I'm really excited to be talking to you about the Pluto direct and just getting some insight into what has actually been taking place for us since Pluto has now moved into its direct motion. And of course this was for the 30th of September, which was yesterday. So the first thing that I want to talk about is I hope that everybody is, reasonably okay under this current energetic movement at the moment. I most certainly, for my own personal self, have felt, gee, wow, it's been nuts. It really has been crazy. There's been a tremendous amount of almost like polarity energy, where on one side you're sitting and you're experiencing this insight and awakening experience and feeling empowered and really getting to the core of a deeper sense of self. And then there's this other side of the coin, or other side of the spectrum, in which it feels as if you're on a boat, little small like canoe, and you're riding the rough seas, right? And everything's just up and down and it's tumultuous and emotions all over the place, and it's like, whoa, where is this coming from? So for me personally, and from what I've witnessed with working with certain clients and people, it seems like this could be very well a general thing that's going on. So yeah, wow. Especially with the context of the energy at the moment, Before I get into that for us today, I want to look at this picture, because I really feel that this captures this Pluto direct energy, for us right now. And on one side, you see that there's this barren wasteland that's deeply dried up, lack of water. There's this one tree that's got some birds on it that have kind of using it to house it, but it's single, it's isolated, it's in the distance, and you can see that there's no life there, in the way that life is deeply green, and the color, the grass is vibrant, there's water, there's nourishment, it's the absence of that. And what I like about this picture as well, when we focus on the barren land of absence of energy that's supporting and nourishing, you can also see how the clay, the ground, is cracked, and it's like this rigidity, this Capricorn element. When Capricorn lacks emotion, when Capricorn lacks care and softness, it shows up as that very hard, cracked shell that essentially can be exactly that, just very lacking in emotion. I think that this is where humanity's been for a long period of time, and right now it seems like there is an emergence of bringing energy into the world, where there's a need for feminine energy, for receptivity, for nourishment, for water, basically, right? And when we move over to the other side of the picture, where you see the Pluto sign itself, we can see that there's rain, that there's some storm clouds that really depicts the essence of what I'm talking about. It's like dark and it's clouded, and there's this emotion that's moving through us, and it's bringing us water. It's bringing us the potential for a land to begin flourishing again. And that's where I see where we are at the moment, in terms of this Pluto through Capricorn transit. And there's so many insights that I have around the Pluto in Capricorn transit that I want to share with you today. So I hope that you've got some space available in your life right now to deeply digest what it is that I want to share. And if you haven't got that space, save this video for a moment when you can really just sit with it and really feel what it is that I'm talking about inside of your life and inside of your reality. Because as always, I'm always inspired to speak about Pluto, and particularly Pluto through Capricorn, because there's so many moments in which there are new developing insights that arise. And for me, I really enjoy the insights that flow through me as I talk about this specific transit. So let me actually move over to the actual slide itself. And I love this picture, because even though that's the that first picture that I showed you around the energy of where we've been, I love what this video represents in terms of Pluto going direct, and just for a moment, sit into this chart that you're looking at right now. Okay, the chart on the left hand side. Look into how we've got Venus in Scorpio, we have Jupiter in Scorpio. We know that Venus is going to go retrograde within a couple of days. Which reminds me, by the way, I've just recently created an essential needs video course workshop that I just finished recording today, and I'm going to upload that, and it will be available to be purchased within the next couple of days. And that's something that's really, really cool around the Venus retrograde, but I'll talk about that a bit later. So we have this Venus retrograde, we've got this Jupiter in Scorpio, or in Scorpio, and then also we have Saturn trining Uranus, okay, and then we have this nodal axis, right, this south node and this north node in Leo and Aquarius. And if we want to add something to the context over here, we can see that the sun is in Libra, right, balance. So how does this picture relate to the astrology? Well, if you observe, let's just wait for the video to actually get to the original point where the plant is actually lying on the floor. Notice that this plant is about to be put into the ground. Okay, and you'll notice as well that there's this plastic that's almost supporting where the plant is going to be held. Okay, and you can see that over there. And you can see that the person is also integrating that into the ground. This is what I see as the Uranus in Taurus, right? We're integrating our essence that has been formed and established since 2012, right? This new beginning with Uranus and Aries moving into Taurus. It's where we are taking this new beginning, this thriving consciousness, and we're integrating it into the earth, Taurus. And the plastic is actually the trine between Saturn and Uranus, where there's this support, there's this boundary, there is this beautiful harmonic relationship between Saturn and Capricorn and Uranus and Taurus that's really supporting us to have structure, to have stability, to have protection that can allow that plant to thrive in a way that's not just going to be washed away by the elements. Okay. And I see the Pluto, I see that the node of this of the south node in Aquarius and the north node in Leo as the life. It's the man that is, or the woman, who is placing this thriving plant that needs to be grounded into the earth to be nourished. It's planting it, it's giving life, it's giving potential. There's a fate, there's a destiny. And this life is about to emerge. Okay, for all of us, there's life that is about to emerge for us. And the Scorpio and the Jupiter and the Venus is all about the regeneration. It's about the regeneration of what has been let go of, what has been purged away, what has been stripped from us, that no longer serves our deepest empowerment, And when I look at the Pluto in Capricorn, I see that this overall process is happening for all of the people, because if you look very carefully at this video, you can see that there are many people doing the same thing. This is not just the only plant. There's miles of this, and everybody's just planting collectively, Pluto through Capricorn, restructuring their life, redirecting their life, regrowing their life. Everybody's on this basically this transmutation. And we're all here to try and thrive. We're all trying to thrive in this new environment, and we're We're looking to be nourished by the right people. You know, when I see that ground that gets put around the plant, I see the support, the right people around you. You know, the ones that resonate with you. You know, Mars and Aquarius, that really support you, that get you, that get the vibe that is about you. You know, that allows you to fulfill your inspiration. But what I also saw with this transit as well that was really, really interesting was something a little bit less inspirational, something a little bit less, you know, soft and cute and fluffy, but was really hardcore. And that was that, you know, with Uranus sitting at 1 degree Aquarius or Taurus, and it's retrograde and it makes an inconjunct to the sun. You know, over the last week, we just had some sudden shocks, some sudden emotional shocks that just brought us into this ground, you know, like brought us into reality, like deeply. And we're shocked into this experience and into our emotions and into our space. And now we're dealing with these fears, and we're dealing with these feelings of where we need to structure our lives, where we need to be more cautious of where we can over exert ourselves. You know, this is part of the structure that this plastic is representing in this picture, where we can over exert ourselves, where we can where we have put too much emotion and now we need to bring it back, where we have overextended ourselves, you know, where we're exhausted, where we're worn out, where we need to care for ourselves more, you know, where we need to show up more. You know, for me personally, there's so much around the shock for me personally, and how to, like, okay, what does that mean for me? And recognizing certain patterns within my own field. You know, I have Pluto transiting my 12th house at the moment, so for me, this is a transit of really clearing out my psyche, clearing out all of the confusion and lostness and, you know, ideals and fantasies that are rooted in something that potentially or may want to be experienced, but, you know, the reality of it is that it's different. So learning how to bring my dreams into reality while simultaneously also dealing and cutting away with all the confusion and the clarity and what's real and what's not real type of thing, and getting grounded on that, you know. And for me, having a Pluto 12th house transit, you've also got to recognize the polarity of that Pluto is in existence. So I've got to kind of like recognize a routine, because if I don't follow a routine for myself, I notice that Pluto 12th house transit just erodes everything. You know, it's so easy to decay and so easy to get lost. So, you know, this Uranus in conjunct the sun really brought a balancing act, you know, for all of us over the last week. And as we journey into the experience of what is needing to be restored or to be rebalanced, we've also recognized that there was some really, really deep subconscious stuff that came to the surface. Why not, right? Venus in Scorpio, Jupiter in Scorpio. If we look at the current politics in America at the moment, you can see that there's this really, really deep uprising around events that have taken place over the last 3 days, whereas this, I can't remember what his name was, but anybody that's watching this video that's aware of what I'm talking about, which most of you guys from the States will be, his emotional expression was just, you know, so over the top, and you could see how that chaos, that Pluto, just as it about to go direct, brought through so much distortion, so much fractured ego. And you know, that's what we're working with over here. We're working with the collective sickness. We're looking at the grief, you know, the unresolved emotional reality that now needs to be processed. And so Pluto going direct is also where now we're having to work through those emotions that arose when the sun inconjuncted Uranus, you know, a couple of days ago. And this next cycle of Pluto direct is really about planting new seeds relative to what we've been doing since the middle of June, when most of the planets began retrograde, and really getting into aligning our individual values when Venus goes retrograde, you know, the final purging, and our direction with something that has been in the works for a long time. You know, we've been working actively on establishing a new path for ourselves, a new way of relating to ourselves, a new dimension of self. And this is where we are in the cycle. And the cycle for us right now is so much about alignment, so much about actively participating in our life in a way that clears out unnecessary confrontation, clears out distortion, clears out victimization, clears out grief. I mean, this is what I wanted to talk about with this Pluto and Capricorn thing. It was like, you know, there's so much collective grief. There's so much collective sadness. And, you know, I've spoken about this before. And in the Venus video what I did with Farron, he brought up a book, which I will post in the description, about the 4 stages of grief and processing. And then I highly encourage you guys to, if you haven't done it, to go and look into healing your emotional body, going into being able to make a connection to that, to journey within and to recognize where there are emotions that are displaced, where you've got unresolved anger, where you've got unresolved bitterness or sadness, and to just work through it very slowly. You know, no reason to jump into any sort of like fast extended healing process of, oh, I'm going to do this, you know, better than everybody else. It's more along the lines of like just allowing it to naturally unfold for you. You know, if you've recently lost somebody in your life, like a parent or you know, a job or anything that you've been working towards or that you've had in your life for a long time, I encourage you to sit with those feelings and really allow yourself to see what they are telling you. You know, this is a Pluto thing in Capricorn, you know, working through our inherited karma. You know, for so many of you that are Pluto and Scorpio generation, you're coming into the world where there is just such a profound amount of trauma around separation, regarding betrayal, abuse, power, and there's so many new things out there in the world where we've got such extremes and everybody's trying to fight for their place. And really what's really happening underneath of it is that we're dealing with a lot of the hangover. We're dealing with the hangover of what it's like to have lived post-patriarchy and the woundedness that comes with that, and how we are able to, you know, begin helping ourselves find more deeper connection. It's not a coincidence that when Jupiter entered Scorpio that there was this huge thing around suicide and depression linked with that, and people unable to feel connected, and so therefore ending their lives because there's such a deep sense of alienation or lostness. And there's so much inherited grief, there's so much inherited pain and suffering that was part of yours, that were before we were even born, in that sense, that is part of our collective psyche that we're dealing with. And this is not a time to be, this is not an energy or a time in which it's for the faint-hearted. You know, you really have to put on a brave face to wake up every single day to go, okay, what is this energy going to show me today? How am I going to meet with this? And how much compassion do we truly give to ourselves during this period? And how much do we really sit with this life that we have and what we're opening up to? What we're opening up to and how we're making sense of it. You know, this is a time of deep chaos, because the context of our existence and what we're able to process and understand is so much more bigger than what we can see it as and perceive it as. And our little brains and our little monkey bodies and all of that type of stuff, electrical system, you know, it's not truly geared towards this reality completely. So we've got to take every single day as a time and really give ourselves an opportunity to look after what is our humanity, you know, to see us for where we are, to see our vulnerability, to see us in our state of disempowerment, and individually be able to allow ourselves to just give us a moment of time to nurture that which is our humanness, and our failures and our judgments and our persecutions and our comparisons and our woundedness, you know, all of these things that it's very easy to get very focused on and very negative in that sense. But it's not negative, it's simply just a polarity of the opposite of what we're, you know, wanting to step into, which is an empowered life. And it doesn't have to be dramatic, you know. There's so much sold to us via the internet that this is what success looks like. And, you know, to be honest, success to a person that's really just trying to help themselves connect with their own needs in a conversation is more successful than, you know, being able to establish 100,000 followers on YouTube. You know, an aspiring astrologer that works diligently to share their care and love and inspiration. He meets 1,000 subscribers and is overjoyed because of the fact that that's successful, you know. And there's purity and there's heartfulness. And this is a time where we can truly be connected to our humanity, Mars and Aquarius, you know, on that South Node, during this period of time in which there's just so much upheaval that is beyond what we are asking for. You know, this is the narcissism of our age, is that human beings think that this is a result of them, but really this is a cosmic dance that is far greater than, beyond than our sense of self, that is moving through us. So we are just, you know, part of an energetic evolutionary trajectory that has its own direction, that has its own intention, that has its own natural path, that's not even conscious of the fact that it has an identity. It's just, oh, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, this is how we're being. So I hope that this video inspires you to take whatever it is that you took away from my rambling, and wherever it meets you in your own travels, in your own path, I hope that you are safe during this period of time, and that you are looking after yourself and you're taking care of the empowerment path of your Pluto. And yeah, I think that's it for me at the moment. So once again, thanks very much for listening. I appreciate your time, everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't seen our new website, Raising Vibrations, Jen did a beautiful job at actually recreating that whole entire thing from scratch. So that whole website that you see was completely built by her, and it was very interesting for me to watch because it was like, oh my God, this is a big project. How are you going to do this? But she did. So, you know, if you haven't seen it, there's a link in our description below, and go check it out, you know. Other than that, have a wonderful time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.